Welcome back. New Twitter files reveal how the social media site rigged the COVID debate. Reporter David Zweig outlined in a thread hours ago, highlighting that Twitter censored information that was true but contrary to U.S. government policy, discredited doctors and other experts who disagreed, and just flat out suppressed ordinary users, including some sharing the CDC's own data.
This comes just days after Elon Musk said in an all-in podcast over the weekend that almost every conspiracy theory people had about Twitter turned out to be true. Now, we want to discuss this more, and to do so, we want to bring in Chrissy Clark, a reporter for the Daily Caller. She's also a Newsmax contributor. Good afternoon, Chrissy. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, guys. I hope you had a great Christmas.
You too.
We did, yeah. So let's talk about how they're just silencing conservative voices. We know dissenting voices on COVID, if you had any questions about getting the COVID shot or anything that had to do with the opposite of what we were being told, you were quickly suppressed. You were just made a fool of online if they could have. What are your thoughts about what you're seeing so far on these Twitter files?
So when I saw these Twitter files, and specifically this story, my immediate thought went to, wow, this has become such a semantics game. We saw when Dr. Anthony Fauci got in front of Congress, he was saying, no, I never funded gain-of-function research, because he had just kind of convoluted the way that gain-of-function research is defined. And this is the same thing that happened. You know, Jack, who owned Twitter for the longest time before Elon Musk took over, or Parag Agrawal, whoever was before Elon, you know, he got in front of Congress and said, no, we aren't shadow banning people, when the Twitter files have explicitly shown that people were shadow banned, but he had ever so slightly tweaked the meaning of the word shadow ban. And to me, this entire Twitter files, whether it be Dr. Anthony Fauci, whether it be Jack, or whether it be Stanford University saying we can no longer say the word American, semantics and language matter, and they matter because of instances like this, where they change, where the elites in power change the way that words mean, when we all know that shadow banning is shadow banning, no matter what you call it.
Well, also what's interesting is that Congress had previously said, oh, we weren't funding this gain-of-function research, yet
Right.
when it came down to it, they actually had to admit that they moved all of their findings from that lab in Wuhan to the United States, to Maryland. So it is here, it is true. It's frustrating, but one of those tweets in the Twitter files says, quote, the United States government pressured Twitter and other social media platforms to elevate certain content and to suppress other content about COVID-19. I mean, can we just discuss this a little bit more? It seems that if you look through all of the Twitter files, this particular thread, Trump was way more focused on keeping toilet paper on grocery store shelves. Biden appears to have had a different agenda, one that he wanted to silence anti-vaxxers. What are your thoughts on that?
Right. I mean, if you take out the first 5 letters or first 5 words of that tweet, the tweet in and of itself is not great, but it's legal. The problem here is that Twitter gets all of these magical rules. You know, they don't have to act like they're a government institution. They don't have to act on behalf of the government. Allegedly, they get all the rules like that. But then they do act on behalf of the U.S. government, which makes them not subject to those rules. They should have to uphold First Amendment rights. And that's really the problem with all of this. If Twitter wanted to go and boost COVID policies or ideas that they thought were good and negate or suppress some of the other ones, that's up to Twitter. But when they do it on behalf of the U.S. government, that's when it becomes a massive problem. And that's what we find from the Twitter files, is that if this were happening on behalf of a private company, you know, we could judge, we could talk about it, but it's not illegal or it's not questionable. But when you bring the U.S. government as an actor telling private businesses what to do, I mean, that is just a whole new level.
It's dangerous. And then, Chrissy, just to shift gears very quickly, I wanted to get your thoughts on this. California has introduced some bills to potentially have to pay reparations to descendants of slavery. What are your thoughts on this, that decades later to pay back for the crimes of slavery?
Well, the funniest part about this whole story is that if you watch any of the town hall meetings of California residents that go to discuss this, they say time and time again, $200,000 in reparations, which is what the board is discussing right now, it's not enough. it's never going to be enough, Christina. They're going to have a million different reasons why. I mean, I heard somebody say that if you don't give dead homies their money back, that Black people's God is going to come for you. Like, you have to listen to these town halls because they're abject insanity. It's never going to be enough. And this council is just absolutely whack.
Chrissy Clark, we appreciate your thoughts. Thank you so much for coming on this afternoon. We again hope you had a Merry Christmas.